right, good afternoon, everyone. I think the session is about to start soon. May I introduce you to Jeffrey Evenson?
Well, thanks, Ploy. I'm Jeff Evenson. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer for Corning Incorporated. Corning is a 165-year-old company focused on glass. And the first remark I'd like to make is that I really appreciate all of you taking the risk to come to a talk by a 165-year-old company and someone talking about an ancient material. But I like to reward you for taking that risk by sharing a few insights. I'd like to provide some insights on why glass has been such a historically transformative material, why I think that we're only now entering the glass age despite the incredible history that glass has already had, what Corning is doing to try to capture the potential of the glass age, and maybe how all of you can play a role in making it happen. After I do that, we'll have time for questions. Does that sound good to you guys? All right, so let's get started by looking at some of the properties that have made glass such a transformative material. We are not advancing. Oh, there we go. For over 3,000 years, artists have been using glass because of how it feels, how it forms, how it handles light, and how it takes on color. But in addition to these artistic properties, glass also has some amazing technical attributes. So for example, glass is one of the most stable and enduring engineering materials. Glass gets its incredible stability from a continuous network of silicon-oxygen bonds. These bonds remain intact from the time the component sand is mined throughout the life cycle of the device. And this is why glass objects can survive for centuries. In contrast, metal objects corrode, and plastic objects either decompose or turn into toxic chemicals when they're burned. Here's an example. Some people, especially European tour guides, like to say that the glass at the bottom of windows in medieval chapels is thicker because of relaxation of the glass over time. Has anybody heard that? Well, that's good, because it is completely false. In fact, it would take 20 trillion times the age of the Earth for gravity to cause a measurable change in the thickness of a glass window. So glass is indeed amazingly stable. It's also effectively impermeable. People have been using glass for thousands of years as a container because of its effectiveness at protecting the contents from the outside surroundings. It would take an oxygen molecule about 2 weeks to get through a 1 millimeter thick piece of high-tech plastic. That same oxygen molecule, about 5 trillion years to get through a 1 millimeter piece thick of silica glass. Glass also offers outstanding transparency. The glass used in optical fiber is about 30 times more transparent than the purest water, and only about 1% less transmissive than air on the clearest day. This transparency to both RF and optical signals makes it a perfect material for communications. Additionally, and contrary to its reputation for being fragile, glass can actually be engineered to be incredibly strong. Scientists estimate that the theoretical strength of glass is about 15 gigapascals. My guess is not a lot of you measure things in pascals every day, so let me give you an illustration. Imagine a scale that goes under the foot of an elephant. To get this scale to read 1 gigapascal, you would need to stack 10,000 elephants on top of one another. Now, I was in Thailand. I thought this would be a great time to demonstrate that, but Ed told me there was no way that we were getting them to the 12th floor, even if we came up the stairs like he had me do earlier today. But I will give you an example of how we use the strength of glass in a few minutes. Glass is also incredibly versatile. which has important artistic and engineering implications. Artists can mold, draw, blow, and cast glass into the desired shape because glass changes viscosity continuously as the temperature increases, unlike most materials that have an abrupt phase transition. Glass gets additional versatility because silica is such a gracious host to its neighbors in the periodic table. So far, scientists have combined about 50 elements from the periodic table into silica glasses to make glass compositions with unique properties. But the good news is that we're just getting started. Almost the entire periodic table is available to us. And today, the pace of glass innovation is increasing significantly because we now understand how the formulation and fabrication techniques that are used to make a glass combine to dictate its atomic state and structure, which in turn control the optical, mechanical, and thermal properties of a glass. Today, we have learned to treat glass like the nanotech material that it is. And that's why I believe we have the biggest glass innovations remaining in front of us, and why I believe we've only recently entered the glass age. We understand how to optimize a glass for a particular application, and this gets to the heart of what we do at Corning. Our scientists and engineers use chemistry, physics, and years of accumulated experience to develop proprietary recipes for glass and then cook it the right way to meet our customers' needs in their vertical requirements. We then come up with commercial manufacturing techniques that allow us to make glass components reproducibly, at scale, and with attractive economics. We have a long track record of life-changing innovations based on advanced glass. Our innovations include the original bulb for Thomas Edison's electric light, the substrates at the heart of catalytic converters, low-loss optical fiber, and the thin, tough cover material that's found on most mobile devices worldwide. And today, more and more innovators from a broad range of industries are reaching out to us because they recognize how these unique properties of glass can be used to meet their tough technology challenges. So the question for Corning as a company becomes, how do we leverage our 165-year legacy and the fact that so many innovations are in front of us and that we're a leader to capture the potential of the glass age? That's where our corporate strategy comes into play. When I became the Chief Strategy Officer of Corning in July of 2015, one of the priorities at the top of my list was to develop a strategy framework that we could roll out across communities that we work with and across the investor base. You've heard the strategic context. The best glass innovations are in front of us, and Corning is a leader. The financial context is equally optimistic. We're coming off a decade plus of double-digit growth that helped us build a fortress balance sheet. And we're leaders in OLED and LCD glass, which creates a cash machine for the company going forward. Given that context, two priorities follow naturally: to focus our portfolio and utilize our financial strength. I'd like to say a bit more about what I mean by focus our portfolio. We're leaders in 3 core technologies, 4 manufacturing and engineering platforms, and 5 market access platforms. But our real strength comes when we combine these. And in fact, our commitment is to invest at least 80% of our resources in opportunities that utilize at least 2 of these 3 columns. When we do that, we increase our speed to market, we reduce our cost of innovation, we increase our probability of success, and we create higher barriers to entry for the competition. So, That's some of the properties that make glass such a transformative material, and it's an overview about what Corning is trying to do to make it all happen. Now I'd like to talk about how we're leveraging this platform to pursue some new opportunities that can create future growth for Corning. I'm going to focus on four sets of opportunities related to our market access platforms and one idea in architecture, which is a new area that we're working on. 10 years ago, we introduced thin, tough cover glass for mobile devices and created our mobile consumer electronics market access platform. Today, Gorilla Glass, the product that we introduced a decade ago, covers approximately 5 billion mobile devices worldwide, and we're the clear leader in this thin, tough cover glass. Our innovations right now are focused on making glass more drop resistant, more scratch resistant, improving the optics so that it's easier to read, particularly in bright light, including sunlight, and on delivering glass formulations that allow new form factors. Our goal in mobile consumer electronics is to double our sales, despite the fact that the underlying sales rate of mobile handsets is maturing. One of the ways that we can double our sales in light of this maturing of the smartphone industry is by increasing our prices to reflect the innovation that we achieve. Let me give you an example of Gorilla Glass 5, which we introduced in July of 2016, so last summer, and its opportunity to capture market share by significantly increasing drop performance. Do we have sound attached to the videos, Ploy? Ah. It's more exciting with the sound. Right there you're seeing one of the ways we test glass, so that we're bending it. This is called a tumble test. The idea is to tumble it thousands and thousands of times to simulate being a purse or how it gets banged around when the phone is in your pocket. This is one of the leading innovators in U.S. technology. We recently won an Emmy Award for our contributions to the television industry. This is not what we won the Emmy Award for. I will apologize for that in advance. All right, we're going to give them one more minute, and if it doesn't work, we will go on with silent videos, and I will do the narration myself. The best one will be when it's a video of me getting interviewed, and I can... Okay, we've theoretically shown that there is sound coming from this device.
When we introduced Gorilla Glass 4 in 2014, we set the industry standard for protection from drop breakage, the #1 consumer complaint. And
that was an okay place to start.
When we say drops, we're talking 1 meter, waist-high belly flops onto rough, unforgiving surfaces like asphalt. Drops that break competitive glass designs more than 80% of the time, and regular soda lime glass nearly every time. That's a big deal if you've ever fumbled as you try to quickly remove a ringing phone from your purse or pocket. But what if you drop your device from above your waist, like when you're snapping photos, or texting on the go, or watching videos? Clearly, enabling phones and mobile devices to better survive higher drops would be a very big deal. Thanks to their constant innovation, Corning scientists have done just that. Introducing Corning Gorilla Glass 5, a new glass solution that raises the bar for toughness against drops higher than ever, all the way up to 1.6 meters. We even had to jack up the height of our drop machine's release point in order to test Gorilla Glass 5. So how did Gorilla Glass 5 do in these lab tests? Even better than we thought possible. Surviving 1.6 meter drops onto hard, rough surfaces up to 80% of the time. Plus, Gorilla Glass 5 delivers up to 4 times improvement in drop failure height compared to competitive glasses. And the best part is, Gorilla Glass 5 increases drop protection while still delivering the damage resistance, optical clarity, and touch sensitivity Gorilla Glass is famous for. So manufacturers who use Gorilla Glass 5 on their mobile devices can provide consumers the ultimate in high-resolution, touch-enabled devices. Corning Gorilla Glass 5, taking tough to new heights. Way to go, Victor.
We introduced Gorilla Glass 5 last July. It sells at a double-digit price premium to Gorilla Glass 4. Nevertheless, it's our fastest market adoption curve since the original introduction of Gorilla Glass. I think that these advances in toughness are going to be particularly important as more and more phone companies want to introduce wireless charging, and as new wireless standards cause antennas to need to be put over a much bigger area. I think you're going to need to see the backs of phones become RF transparent, and they'll have to be really tough. So this is a great product for that. Another way for us to increase our revenue in mobile consumer electronics is by capturing new devices like smartwatches. But I actually think that an even bigger opportunity for us is augmented and virtual reality headsets. This is an example of a smart lens that uses optical waveguides to create large images on a fairly ordinary looking piece on a set of glasses. This is developed by the VTT Technology Research Center in Finland. Now, a lot of augmented reality and virtual reality is about moving light in precise ways over very short distances. And our materials and capabilities are directly relevant. So another big opportunity for Corning. Let's move on to the automotive market access platform. Today in automotive, Corning has a $1 billion business focused on mobile emissions control. But Gorilla Glass makes us very well positioned to serve the auto industry as automakers look to make cars that are cleaner, safer, and more connected. Our goal is to make Gorilla Glass as common in cars as it is in mobile phones. Initially, we pursued this opportunity because we thought the thinner, lighter Gorilla Glass would make more fuel-efficient cars that handle better. And in fact, those benefits absolutely happen. But as we started working with automakers to pass government testing, we found out that our glass has superpowers. In fact, it's the ultimate surface for head-up displays, and it handles rock strike twice as well as conventional soda-lime windshields. We put all these benefits together in a concept car and also highlighted the advantages in interior design that come up with new design degrees of freedom when you use thin glass. We introduced the concept car at the Consumer Electronics Show in January of this year in Las Vegas, and it won a Best of CES award. So let's take a look.
You may be familiar with the names Corning and Gorilla Glass from your smartphone, but this low-slung sports car is sort of a tour de force of all the cool things they're doing with car technology today. It's the Corning Connected Concept Car, and it's got all sorts of things that they're doing now and things they're going to be doing in the future in cars. Now here in the cabin, I'm virtually surrounded by glass. Let's start at the top. I've got this fully glass roof and backlight that are electrochromatic, and that means that at the touch of a button, it can go from being virtually opaque to almost totally clear, and that's going to allow me to let a lot of light in when I want it and also keep the sun off of my head when I don't. That's pretty cool. In front of me, I've got a windshield and side lights that are made of Corning's glass. They're going to be a lot thinner, a lot more scratch and impact resistant, but also a lot lighter than the traditional glass that you'll see in a car. The advantage there being that the car is now lighter, which means its center of gravity is a little lower. The performance and handling are going to be a little bit better. Of course, in front of me, I've got a full dashboard with a continuous display behind this very clear glass. I've got glass here on the steering wheel with an integrated display and some very cool fiber optics around here that can be used for things like driver aid notifications. And finally, here in the center, I've got this completely glass center console. The really cool thing about this is that because Corning's glass is so strong and flexible, it can be cold formed, which means that it's actually less expensive to manufacture than some of the glass consoles that you've seen in really expensive cars. Of course, the advantages of a glass center console are still here. We've got a really crisp, glare-resistant display right here for infotainment and a smartphone charging station right here in the armrest. Now, as I mentioned, some of these technologies are available today. Cars like Ford's GT already use Corning's glass to reduce weight and improve performance, but the rest of these technologies are just around the corner. We can't wait.
So today we're on 6 commercially available cars, including the Ford GT that was just mentioned and also the BMW i8. All of these are very expensive, low-volume production cars, but we recently formed a joint venture with Saint-Gobain, which is a leader in auto glazing, and we're building capacity together to satisfy more mass-market platforms. So stay tuned. More to come in the automotive space. We're also a leader in the glass used for advanced displays. Our fusion manufacturing and engineering platform allows us to make sheets of glass that are more than twice as big as a king-size bed, about 4 sheets of paper thick, flat to within 200 atoms without polishing, and chemically optimized for use in semiconductor fabs. Today, we sell more than 50% of the glass used in LCD and OLED televisions, and we're working to innovate with our display customers to make displays with sharper images, displays that are thinner, bigger, and have advantaged form factors. What you see here is a display that is on sale in China today. It uses our new Iris glass. Iris introduces a third piece of glass into the display stack and replaces a plastic light guide plate that most LCD televisions use. The plastic has a couple disadvantages for a television manufacturer. One is that it expands thermally or because of humidity in pretty significant ways. And the bezel you see around your TV, the edge, is there primarily to handle this expansion of the material. Glass, as I've already shown you, is incredibly stable. Don't need to worry about that. Additionally, plastic needs reinforcement to gain rigidity. So the thickness of the TV is often related to metal supports that go into the back. But we make the glass thick enough that it offers its own mechanical stability. Consequently, you can make a television like this one that's thinner than an iPhone with a bezel maybe even a bit smaller. Right now, these are only available in China, but we are hoping to win a major global brand soon, and you'll be able to buy them everywhere. In addition, we are working with customers to leverage the supply chain to make displays in a format that works for particular vertical applications. Here you see an infotainment wall, very similar to the one in our Day Made of Glass video, that helps disintegrate the boundaries between the real and virtual by integrating digital content with social media, large-scale touch, and home and office control systems. And now, if you're going to let me put up the video where I'm getting interviewed, I think you'll get a pretty good idea of where we're trying to go with this set of ideas. I am now being asked what the fitness mirror is. And I am going to, so this is like a translation. This is actually in Thai. If we had the video, it would be so much better. And what I will say is that we used Corning's glass in several ways in this. Starting from the outside and going back, we used Gorilla Glass on the front to handle the touch screen. Then there
to on-demand content, real-time biometric updates from your wearable, as well as personal training, all within one display. What role is precision glass playing in enabling this? Corning's fitness mirror is combining access to on-demand content, real-time biometric updates from your wearable, as well as personal training, all within one display. What role is precision glass playing in enabling this fitness experience?
An important theme of this year's CES is that supply chains exist in the world to take various components, put them together to make focused and exciting new applications. And that's what we've done with the fitness mirror. Precision glass is playing three important roles in this product. Let's work from the outside all the way back. On the outside, we have Gorilla Glass, which is our toughness optimized glass. Here we're using it with a partial mirror that provides the athlete with feedback on his or her performance and also as a touch surface to access the content. Behind the Gorilla Glass, you have a high-resolution display, capabilities going up, costs going down, so it makes this very practical. A big part of the reason cost is going down is because of advances we've made in the production of glass. It has 2 sheets of Corning glass in it, and of course, to get the on-demand content, it travels over Corning's optical fiber. Speaking of optical fiber, optical communications is probably the furthest evolved of Corning's market access platforms in terms of making use of almost all the capabilities that we have. Over 45 years ago, Corning used its expertise in optical physics, glass science, and vapor deposition to create the world's first low-loss optical fiber, which eventually ushered in a communications revolution. Today, we've augmented those capabilities and products with our core technology in ceramics, with precision forming, and with extrusion to offer products that range all the way from the fiber itself to advanced cables that package the fiber, connectors, and even bespoke passive systems for various optical networks in data centers and fiber-to-the-home applications.